They say weddings bring families together. In mine, it tore everything apart. I hadn't been invited at first. Not officially. The embossed envelope didn't come to my mailbox. Came to my mother's. "It's just a mistake," she said, waving it off, placing it on the kitchen table like it was nothing. But that wasn't a mistake. That was a message. And I read it loud and clear. Still I showed up. "Dear viewers, welcome to our channel. Subscribe to receive more stories every day." Not to cause drama. Not to beg for attention. I showed up because no matter how complicated things were, that bride up there in white, my younger sister Rachel, was still my sister. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could put the past behind us. I was wrong. The venue was a sprawling estate just outside town. Marble floors, gold-trimmed mirrors, a string quartet playing something elegant I didn't recognize. Everyone looked polished, glossy, like they belonged in a magazine. And then there was me. I wore a simple navy dress. The same one I used at my cousin's wedding 3 years ago. I did my own makeup. Tied my hair back. I didn't try to compete. I knew I couldn't. Not in her world. The ceremony passed in a blur. Vows were exchanged. Tears were shed. Applause rose like a wave as Rachel kissed her groom, Ethan Chambers, the golden boy. Tall, charming, successful. The kind of man my mother always said I was supposed to end up with. And once, a long time ago, I almost had. But no one talks about that part. At the reception I sat near the back. Table 11, tucked behind the cake table and partially blocked by a floral arch. The name card in front of me read, "Julia, guest of family." Not even my full name. Not even sister of the bride. Smiled anyway. I made small talk with a woman from Ethan's side, some distant cousin. She complimented my earrings. Thanked her. I watched Rachel glide from table to table like a queen in her palace, laughing, posing, sipping champagne like it was made for her. And I clapped when they announced the toasts. That's when it started. Rachel stood beside her new husband, arm tucked in his, cheeks flushed from attention and wine. "Before we begin," she said, "I just want to thank everyone for being here. And to my big sister, Julia, thanks for coming, even though I know you've always hated weddings." There was polite laughter. Some glances toward me. I smiled again. Just smiled. "But really," she continued, lifting her champagne, "no one knows me like Julia. After all, we shared a room, a bathroom, and a few ex-boyfriends." More laughter. Froze. She looked at me. Right at me. "And now, I'd like to introduce someone who knows even more. My maid of honor, my best friend, and, honestly, the person who kept me sane through the whole Ethan saga." The Ethan saga. I felt my stomach twist. Then she handed the mic to Clara. Tall, blonde, ruthless Clara. The same girl who once dated Ethan in college. The same girl who spent the last 3 years pretending I didn't exist. Clara grinned like she'd just been handed a loaded weapon. Okay, she said. "First of all, Rachel, you are the most stunning bride I've ever seen. And Ethan, I still can't believe you managed to convince her to marry you. I mean, let's be honest, we all thought Julia had him first." Laughter. I gripped the edge of the table. "I mean, it's true," she went on. "Remember college? When Julia and Ethan were like a thing." She used finger quotes. "Back when Julia still thought getting a degree in poetry would make her employable." More laughter. I felt my face burn. My jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth would crack. Clara wasn't done. "But seriously, we're all glad Ethan came to his senses. I mean, imagine how awkward family dinners would be if he'd stayed with." Well, never mind. The room was roaring. My mother was laughing. My aunt wiped a tear from her eye. Rachel leaned into Ethan's side, whispering something in his ear. And Ethan just stood there, silent, smiling, watching me. Got up. I don't even remember standing, really. Just that I couldn't breathe. I walked out past the tables, past the server who tried to offer me champagne, past the garden entrance. I found the guest bathroom behind the ballroom and locked the door. And I cried. Not because of the jokes. Not because of the room full of people who found my pain entertaining. but because deep down I had known. I had known the second the invitation didn't come with my name on it. This wasn't a celebration. It was a spectacle. Punishment. A punishment for almost having something they thought belonged to Rachel. Because the truth was, Ethan and I didn't almost date. We were engaged. Years ago. Quietly. Secretly. We kept it from the family because we wanted it to be ours. Just ours. And then, things happened. Rachel happened. Clara happened. My job offer in Chicago got rescinded. Ethan's new internship happened to be in the same building where Rachel interned. And somehow I lost everything. My fiancé. My home. My family's respect. Now I was the punchline. I stared at myself in the mirror. At the woman in the navy dress with swollen eyes and a trembling lip. And I promised myself, this ends tonight. Not in revenge. Not in anger. But with truth. When I stepped out of the bathroom 20 minutes later, I had no plan. Just fire in my chest. The reception was in full swing. The music was louder. People were dancing now. I saw Clara twirling next to Rachel, both of them laughing as they tossed flower petals like confetti. Then I saw Ethan, standing alone near the edge of the dance floor, nursing a drink and staring out the window. He didn't see me approach. Not at first. You enjoyed that? Yes. He turned. Blinked. Julia. Don't. I shook my head. I didn't come here for drama, Ethan. But you let them humiliate me. And you just stood there. He exhaled. I didn't know Clara was going to say that. I swear. But you didn't stop her. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked away. Waited. I waited for 1,000 things. A real apology, a regret, a flicker of shame. Instead he said something else. I shouldn't have let this happen. What? This wedding, he said, voice low. It's not what it looks like. I laughed. You married my sister in front of 200 people, Ethan. What exactly does it look like? He looked at me. Really looked at me. And then he said the words that cracked the floor under my feet. I never stopped loving you, Julia. I never stopped loving you, Julia. He said it like it was a fact, like it was allowed. The words just floated there between us, suspended in the air above the noise of the wedding behind us. For a moment I thought I misheard him, that maybe he said, I never stopped liking you, or even, I never stopped thinking of you. But no, he meant it. I saw it in his eyes, and I hated him for it. You really think that's okay to say to me, I said. At your own wedding? I had to say it, he whispered. I can't do this anymore. I folded my arms. You already did do it. You married her. He flinched. Julia. This wedding was never what you think it is. I stared at him. I didn't have words. Then he looked over his shoulder, paranoid like someone might hear us, and added, I think we should talk. Somewhere private. Oh, now you want to talk. I owe you the truth. I should have walked away. I wanted to walk away. But that burning in my chest, the one I felt in the bathroom mirror, wouldn't go out. So I followed him. Not because I trusted him. 'Cause I wanted to know. I needed answers for all the sleepless nights, the stolen silence, the shame. We slipped through a side hallway behind the ballroom, past a storage closet, and into a small parlor that looked like it belonged in a historical drama. Antique books, velvet chairs, dim lighting, quiet, too quiet. He shut the door behind us. I should have told you everything, he said. Years ago. Start now, I said. He ran a hand through his hair. It wasn't just the job that brought me back here. It wasn't just that Rachel and I crossed paths at the internship. That was all orchestrated. Rachel and Clara. They found out about us. About our engagement. My heart dropped. They said they'd ruin you. What? They threatened to leak your poetry thesis. Said they'd claim it was plagiarized. That you had mental health issues. That you were unstable and stalking me. And Clara. She has connections, Julia. PR firms, alumni board. They knew how to destroy you. I was shaking. So you left me to protect me. I didn't know what else to do. No, I snapped. Don't you dare try to romanticize this. I thought if I distanced myself, they'd leave you alone. But you didn't just distance yourself, Ethan. You disappeared. You ghosted me. You let me believe I wasn't enough. His voice cracked. I thought I could fix it later. I thought if I just played along, I'd figure out a way to make it right. But time passed. And then Rachel got pregnant. I stopped breathing. What? She told me she was pregnant a year ago. That she had proof. So I proposed. And then she miscarried. I stared at him. So she lied to trap you. He nodded. And you still went through with this wedding. He leaned against the mantel, burying his face in his hands. I didn't think I had a choice. My reputation. My family's business. Clara told me that if I walked away, she'd make sure every investor knew I was a liability. That I was cheating. That I was still in love with someone else. Which was true. I sat down in one of the velvet chairs, my legs numb. He looked at me red-eyed. I didn't think you'd show up. But when I saw you, I couldn't go through with it. I was trying to find a way out all night. You didn't exactly try hard, I whispered. I froze. You stood there while they turned me into a joke. While your wife and your maid of honor ripped me apart. I know. We sat in silence. And then slowly I stood up. I don't forgive you, I said, quiet but firm. He nodded. I don't expect you to. But you're not the only one who knows the truth anymore. He looked up, confused. What do you mean? I walked toward the door. You're not the only one with secrets. And I think it's time Rachel gets her own toast. He blinked. Julia, what are you planning? Nothing dramatic, I said. Just clarity. Wait. But I was already walking back to the ballroom. As I re-entered the reception hall, the music swelled. Upbeat, celebratory. People were drinking and dancing. Rachel was surrounded by guests, still glowing like a pageant queen. I didn't head to her. I headed to the DJ. Can I have the mic? The DJ raised an eyebrow. You on the list? No. But I'm family. Something in my voice must have worked, because he handed it over. I stepped onto the center of the dance floor and took a deep breath. Excuse me, said. The music cut. Heads turned. Rachel's smile faltered. Clara stiffened. I know I'm not on the program, I said. But since I was mentioned so generously in the speeches earlier tonight, I thought it would be fair to say a few words myself. There were scattered chuckles. Nervous murmurs. I looked at Rachel. Right at her. First of all, congratulations. Really, you look beautiful tonight. Just like you always wanted to. She blinked, unsure if I was being sarcastic. And second, I just want to thank you. Because I realized something in that bathroom tonight. I realized I've been quiet for way too long. Rachel stepped forward. Julia, don't. Don't what? Asked sweetly. Tell the truth. The room held its breath. I just want to clarify a few things. Ethan and I weren't just a casual college fling. We were engaged. I had the ring. I had the plans. But something happened. Or rather, someone happened. Gasps echoed. Rachel, you didn't accidentally fall in love with him. You took him. You manipulated him. Lied about a pregnancy. You and Clara both schemed to turn my fiancé into your prize. Rachel's face turned white. Clara dropped her champagne glass. But that's not even the best part, I continued. The best part is that Ethan knew. And he let you humiliate me tonight because he thought he had no way out. Rachel turned to Ethan. Is that true? Ethan had just re-entered the room. He didn't speak. Rachel was shaking. You told her that. On our wedding night. The room was silent. Tell them, I said to Ethan. Tell them the truth. He looked at the crowd, then at Rachel. Then, I never wanted this wedding, he said quietly. There it was. The truth. A murmur swept through the guests. Cameras lifted. Phones started recording. Rachel looked like she'd been hit by a truck. But you married me, she screamed. And that's when Ethan said something that no one expected. Not me. Not her. Not the guest. I didn't sign the license. What? The officiant's paperwork. It was missing when they brought it to me. I told them to delay. I never signed it. Rachel gasped. You're lying. Ethan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the license. Still unsigned. Pristine. He held it up. I never agreed to this legally. You knew that. You just wanted the pictures. Rachel lunged for him. Clara pulled her back. Half the crowd was recording. The other half had their mouths open like they'd just witnessed the climax of a soap opera. I stepped back, letting the mic fall to my side. I didn't need to say another word. The house of cards had already collapsed. The moment the unsigned marriage license left Ethan's pocket, the room exploded. Not with applause. Not with cheers. With chaos. Rachel's scream cut through the music like a blade. You're lying, she shouted, trying to yank the paper from his hand. But it was real. It had the county seal, the officiant's blank signature line, and Ethan's name sitting right next to the untouched box labeled spouse. The wedding wasn't legal. The vows were nothing more than theater. And the bride was now nothing more than a girl in a white dress screaming into a microphone. I gave you everything, she cried, mascara streaking. I built my life around you. Ethan didn't respond. He simply folded the document, tucked it back in his pocket, and looked at her with something I couldn't place. Not anger. Not pity. Disgust. Clara tried to save it. Okay, everyone, let's not jump to conclusions. Save it, Clara, I said. I've got the screenshots. She froze. What screenshots? Someone from the crowd asked. I walked over to a nearby projector screen, still glowing faintly from the slideshow of Rachel and Ethan's photos, and plugged in the USB I brought in my purse. I hadn't planned to use it. Honestly, I forgot it was there. But now it was time. The screen flickered. A series of WhatsApp screenshots appeared. Messages from Clara to Rachel. Time-stamped. Explicit. Clara. He still talks about Julia. You have to act now. Rachel. What if she finds out? I need to get pregnant first. Clara. Don't worry. I've got the doctor connection. It'll look real. Rachel. And if that doesn't work, Clara, then we ruin her. Completely. The room went still, like someone pressed pause on time itself. Rachel's mother stumbled into a chair. Ethan's father looked like he was about to vomit. Rachel covered her face. Clara walked out. She didn't run. Didn't cry. Just turned and left the building like her body was made of lead. And then the crowd parted, and my mother stepped forward. She'd been silent through all of it, sitting near the front watching like a statue. But now she walked slowly, carefully, until she stood just a few feet in front of me. I didn't know, she said. I swear, Julia, I didn't know they'd done all that. I didn't speak. I thought you were just the jealous one, that you were bitter. I never imagined. Her voice cracked. I'm sorry. That was the first time in years my mother had said those two words to me. And I believed her. But I wasn't doing this for her apology. I did it because the truth deserved air. I turned to Ethan. What now? He looked around the ballroom, at the torn ribbons, the wilted flowers, the abandoned dance floor. I need to leave this behind. All of it. And then he looked at me. Can we talk? I hesitated. Because the old me, the Julia who waited for text messages and cried in dorm room showers, wanted to say yes. But this Julia, the one who stood on stage and burned every lie to ash, she had grown. I think I need time, I said. Real time. Not the kind where you disappear again. He nodded, with a softness that made it clear he understood. Beat passed. Then he said, the ring. I still have it. I swallowed. Keep it. I'm not that girl anymore. He nodded again, and walked away. And just like that, the wedding that was never meant to be ended. The DJ turned off the music. Staff began cleaning the tables. Guests filtered out, half in disbelief, half buzzing with the kind of gossip that would last decades. I walked to the garden, alone. For the first time that night I breathed freely. It was quiet. Oh, the air smelled like lavender and possibility. I sat on a stone bench and looked up at the moon. And for a moment I let everything fall away. Rachel's betrayal, Ethan's cowardice, the years I lost trying to be small enough to make everyone else comfortable. And I smiled, because I knew something they didn't. I hadn't just reclaimed my story. I'd rewritten the ending. And it wasn't tragic. It was powerful. I was sipping iced coffee outside a bookstore in a nearby town when the barista brought over a manila envelope. "There was a courier delivery for you," she said, confused. Opened it. Inside was a handwritten note. "Julia, I resigned from the firm. I moved to Portland. I'm learning how to be someone who doesn't hide. Your book. It's beautiful. Bought 10 copies. I meant every word that night. But I also respect your silence. Ethan." Beneath the note, a photograph. The wedding license. Still unsigned. Torn down the middle. I closed the envelope. Took a sip of my coffee. Opened my laptop and started writing. Not for him. Not for them. But for me. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't someone's shadow, or someone's sister, or someone's leftover story. I was the author. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel to receive more stories every day. Share with us what you think of this story and tell us where you're watching from.